Hello, I'm Bill Dunster, principal of ZEDfactory, and our company's built the zero carbon pod just straight behind at the entrance to this show. I'd like to talk about, we're a veteran of ecobuild, been coming here for as long as I can remember, and we've seen the industry develop. And the message I want to give is that when we built BedZed, working with Bioregional and London's oldest housing association, the Peabody Trust, we planned it in about 1998. And I did the first designs for BedZed in 1991. It was an entry to Prince Charles's Garden City competition. He didn't like it very much, and we spent the best part of a decade in dialogue with his Prince's Foundation to try and see how these ideas could inform the new urbanism agenda. But my point here is that if you take pretty well everything that that any of the previous speakers have said, and you try and integrate into a project, you get a completely different urban form. You get a completely different architecture. You get a completely different supply chain. The reason why this isn't happening, the reason why Berkeley Homes is not building things that look like this, is because they say it's too expensive, or they say the market's not ready for it, or they say it's not commercially viable. And that causes the problem. The question in the UK is, how do you get an affordable supply chain? How do you reduce the cost so that these integrated products that work together to give you this zero carbon, zero waste, circular economy and construction industry are actually you can afford to use them in development projects. But also they have to work as a whole life costing, and we can't allow the checklist mentality to stop us actually building. So we came up with a very simple methodology which does whole life carbon footprinting and tries to show that actually you can have one number, the number of years it takes till you get, you can pay back the embodied carbon on your new construction project or infrastructure project, taking into account the running carbon, the maintenance carbon, and so on. And because we can now invent buildings which are energy positive, you can displace power from the national grid and use that to create carbon credits that enable you to pay back the original. So this gives you one figure, which is hopefully 44, as in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the meaning of life. We've got projects we're doing now where we got the carbon payback is around about 25 years. And the sort of projects are looking like this. This is a zero fossil energy home, net annual zero energy bills. And the reason why this works is because the cost of the supply of building a BIPV roof, which generates 8 megawatt hours a year, has come down to the point where it's not much more expensive than conventional roofing. And the cost of storing the electricity means that you don't have to worry about governments and feed-in tariffs any longer. But if your house only uses 4 megawatt hours a year, that leaves you 4 megawatt hours surplus to then put into electric vehicles, transportation, and that starts to reduce urban air pollution. So it's this joined-up thinking, this carbon philosophy, which I don't see happening very much in the UK. It's a checklist mentality, but there isn't a recognition by government that, or indeed anybody really, that particularly developers, that it's the interaction between all the components that gives you all these quick wins. So we've given up. We don't mind anymore about government policies. We can take the city off-grid room by room. We can develop cladding systems now which are not much more expensive than any other rain screen insulated cladding system. We can take existing buildings and make them into zero carbon buildings. We can give them rooftop atrium spaces. We can use e-bike batteries to power rooms. This is a different future. We can use BIPV and solar cooling technologies to remove the need for district heating or CHPs. We can use these same components for the new build program to retrofit existing buildings. So if you can imagine how many buildings in the UK look like this today, and how could they be transformed? This is a live project in Holland. Why is this not commonplace in the UK? Because there is absolutely zero demand. Because there's a whole industry peddling rumours that it's not commercially viable, it's not sensible, and the targets are unrealistic. So the volume house builders lobbied the government to end the Code for Sustainable Homes. We had the highest targets in the world. If we kept to them, we would have the highest standards for our supply chain. We would be net exporters, and the whole situation, or the whole construction industry, would be transformed. Instead, other countries are using these ideas, and they're accelerating, they're getting the global markets, and they're getting our industrial production. And they deserve it, because they have vision we don't. ecobuild used to be the entire footprint of Excel. It's now only in 3/4 of one hall. Thank you.